What's good everyone, it's your boy Yadiiiigg, 4 Eyes, 2 J's here, and today we're here reporting for No Jumper to talk about the iconic duo Lil Peep and Lil Tracy, going through the history of their relationship and their legacy together. Now before we delve into that, let's just add some context by going through the start of their own individual careers. Lil Tracy, who went by Young Bruh at the time Peep and Tracy met, had been quite well known in the underground by the time 2016 came around and the two met. He moved from his hometown Virginia to Los Angeles to pursue rapping when he was only 18, and having been a member of the well-known underground group Thrax House that would eventually sort of morph into Goth Boy Clique, he had quite a few notable underground releases to his name already. Peep was also in a very similar position. He had moved around quite a bit between his hometown Long Island and Los Angeles to pursue music, but still, he was very much underground at that time, laying the foundations to his style at that time on releases like Lil Peep Part 1. According to the No Jumper interview that was shot in 2016, the two would be brought together by producer Yadiiiigg, who was a staple of the underground culture. However, the two before meeting in person would speak to each other via Twitter earlier on, exchanging DMs praising each other, and there was even a lyric from Peep kind of shouting out Young Bruh / Tracy on an early song of his called Beat It. However, when they would eventually meet in person in Pasadena, sometime around early to mid 2016, the very same day they made and shot the iconic music video for White Tea, an underground classic that formed the basis for the very first mixtape together, Castles, that featured other fan favorites such as White Wine. Around this time is when Peep would become a part of Goth Boy Clique, joining people like Tracy, Wickerface, Fishnark, and Cold Heart. Multiple members of the group alongside other artists would live together in various locations around LA, including Pasadena and Skid Row. These were often rundown makeshift share houses that were creative incubators akin to Silicon Valley's tech houses. It's either you were there to work or there was really no other point being there. The style of music that they frequently leaned on I would loosely describe as quote-unquote emo rap, often backed by rock or punk samples that the two embellished with lyrics that bled heartbreak, pain, and depression that resonated with youth all around the world. One of my favorite collaborations from them is I Crash You Crash, where Peep and Tracy trade lyrics about a fleeting relationship that they're desperately trying to save over a gentle Pierce the Veil sample in the background. And the music they made together at this time became prominent in the underground as the two became leaders of a new wave of punk rock influenced rap rock stars. Although this style and sound today might seem a little cliche with the overabundance that we see of it today, it's often forgotten that back in years like 2015, 2016, and 2017, alongside their group JBC with members such as Cold Heart, Fishnark, and Wickerface, as well as other artists like Bones, Suicide Boys, or X, Peep and Tracy were stylistic innovators for this relatively unexplored crossover of the quote-unquote emo rock, punk, and hip-hop worlds. Quote-unquote emo rap at the time wasn't this huge mainstream genre that everybody was doing, and since then countless artists would go on to imitate Peep and Tracy, and still today you can hear remnants of their musical influence in various artists on the come up. In Lil Tracy's interview with The Fader from 2019, Tracy described that time in his life as quote, probably the most happiest I had been in a long time. And if you followed the two over the next couple years, you got to witness the two become basically inseparable, as both within the music and in real life they seem to be joined at the hip. Lisa Womack, Lil Peep's mother, spoke about Tracy candidly in his 2019 documentary Everybody's Everything.
And I say every time, are you with anybody? Because moms want to know, is my son alone or does he have a friend that he's at least with? And it was always, yeah, Tracy. So there was always this Tracy who was always with him, and I thought, okay, thank goodness for Tracy. Tracy's at least sticking by my son.
And Lil Tracy several times since Peep's unfortunate passing has spoken on the two's relationship at that time.
Everything we did was easy. It was like drinking water. We would just always be together, like going around Cali, like doing the random ass shows. There was a point, it was a couple of months where we were like pretty much like glued together. He was my best friend. I could tell him.
And since they first met and started making music, Peep and Tracy would non-stop release collaborations, whether it was a follow-up to the original Castles, Castles 2, or a slew of loose tracks like Gods, Kisses in the Wind, and Us, which are some of my personal favorites of theirs. However, for as good as things seemed to be on the outside to us as fans, it began to unravel that the two's relationship wasn't exactly on the best of terms throughout 2017. And I don't mention this part of their history together to make people pick sides or to make someone look bad or to place blame onto anyone. I only touch on this because I feel like it's important to cover both sides of the story. In the months leading up to Lil Peep's passing, Tracy described their relationship as quote-unquote precarious. It wasn't necessarily that they hated each other or that they were even quote-unquote beefing in the traditional hip-hop sense. It was more so that they felt it better for themselves to be separate at that time in their lives. It became very evident though that the main instigator in the breaking down of their relationship was Tracy, who spoke about Peep in his No Jumper interview in 2017. Essentially, boiling it down, Tracy felt slightly envious of the attention that Peep was garnering, as Peep had clearly become the biggest artist out of GBC at that time, and Tracy, as well as other people, felt that Peep wasn't necessarily doing all that he could do to mention, bring up, or shine light on other members of GBC. He specifically referenced this article by Pitchfork, where he was uneasy with the fact that they spoke of Peep so highly, praised their track together White Wine, but only gave Tracy a fleeting mention at the very end of the article, when he had a huge contribution to the track, and arguably had the most memorable part of the song.
I can't fuck with you if we were friends on MySpace.
And honestly, looking back at it, at that time, especially considering Peep was still alive, you can't even blame Tracy for feeling this way. For you to be so influential in your own right and making music alongside someone, only for that person to get all the attention and praise for that music whilst you weren't receiving the same acclaim, it's understandable why he felt like he did. Tracy also mentioned that he can't be a shadow to no one, which I really think sums up the core of the issue. Tracy felt like being so closely associated with Peep, while Peep was getting all this praise and was kind of blowing up, led to him kind of being looked at as a sidekick instead of the main artist that he wanted to be. Multiple times, Tracy kind of came out publicly against Lil Peep, whether it be through tweets or via DMs. However, it was clear that even though Tracy might have felt away at that point in time, deep down the two still had love for each other, and Peep even still posted this on his IG a month before his passing, whilst the two were on different terms. And really, at the core of it, that's the issue there. Often fans make out this beef to be more than it was, as if it was some Drake Meek Mill serious beef type situation, and it's a little disingenuous and a little disrespectful to do so. As I said, the two clearly had love for each other. In fact, the two's most popular collaboration to date, Awful Things, which took on a life of its own after Peep's passing, now being certified by the RIAA, was actually made whilst the two's relationship wasn't on the best of terms. Tracy recalls in this interview that he wasn't exactly sure if he wanted to do the song at first, but Gus/Pete said it would be the biggest thing they'd ever do. And since Peep's passing, Tracy again and again has shown remorse for how the situation played out.
I thought it wasn't real. You know? Like seeing that shit on Twitter, I was like, nah. I hadn't even talked to him probably in like over a month. We knew it was kind of like weird. I was tired of being like, you know, the little homie on the verse. Like, no, bro, he would have, I be thinking about it. I think if I would have seen him, I'm not saying that I could have been like a hero, but I think things maybe would have been different. We probably would have really took over like the whole world, I feel like, eventually. Because I knew we would have ended up being friends again.
And on various songs since, he's immortalized Peep through his lyrics. And as Peep's name has only gotten bigger since his passing, it's great to see that their collaborations are not getting left behind. And as someone who was around when they were first released, I remember the impact they had on the scene at that time. And to see them still resonate with people now is great, and I hope as time continues to pass, we continue to see Tracy thrive in his own solo endeavors and continue on the path he is on.
Now, I done lost my best friend who I was doing that shit with. Why the fuck would I want to continue being that? So that's why I decided to change my life for the better. No drugs, nothing. Me just being happy, being who the fuck I want to be. And if y'all niggas can't accept that, I don't want you as a fan.
Because on a personal level, over the last couple years, he's made some of my favorite music from any artist, and I think he's someone who deserves a lot more recognition and a lot more success, but I'm sure it will come in time. And that's all for me today, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. If you guys aren't aware, myself, Yadiiiigg, I do have my own YouTube channel where I upload very similar content to this. I cover all the SoundCloud era artists like Cardi, Yachty, Uzi, etc. If you guys want to check that out, link will be in the description, feel free. Also, big thank you to Adam and the whole No Jumper crew for letting me feature on your channel again. I'm very grateful to be able to share my content on a platform like this. You can see more No Jumper videos on the screen right now. Make sure to watch them if you haven't, and hope everyone out there has a good day. Peace.